Hey folks, it's Who's of Doom. A couple weeks back, GW formally said that Magnus the Red is going to be coming back. We all know what the kit looks like, and of course this has to do with the return of the Thousand Suns for 40k as well. So I'm kind of excited about this release. This is an army I've always thought was interesting, and what gets me excited and why I'm making this video is I just watched the promotional video that Games Workshop made for Warzone Fenris. Now, I'll link that and a few of the other promotional videos down below to this video. But, they've made a few of these black and white promotional videos for a Death Watch and Genestealer cults, and this is kind of the third one, essentially. And I think that they're just fantastic videos. I think that this is a great way for them to do it. They're just, in terms of promoting their product, promoting a new release, this is exactly the route that GW needs to go. The production quality of these videos, I think, is really good. They're utilizing the same talent that they use in their audio dramas, which is kind of a very smart move for them to do. If they're already going to be doing these long audio dramas, why not have them come in and do this little short videos that just last a couple minutes? I like the black and white look, partly because I'm a big fan of Warhammer comics, and that kind of lends itself to it. But I would just say like just in general, like the music and the quality and the story that is being told, these things are just great videos, just all in all. I really love watching them. They're interesting. They also tell you some things about the future release, which is really cool to see. But they're great introductory videos. If you don't know much about the story, this is a good video to watch. If you didn't know anything about the Genestealers prior to the release, that's a great video to watch. It just provides a bit of context, much more than simply saying, "Oh, there's a Genestealer cult army coming out." This is a video that tells about that faction from the perspective of the faction, which is kind of an interesting perspective as well. So I would just say that in general, like a 2 to 3 minute promotional video is a really nice change for Games Workshop. Think back to like the old promotional videos that they used to do, and it would just have like a logo, and it would just be like very, very brief and not tell you anything about it. And we'd be excited because we know our army's being released again, but it doesn't provide any information about the army. It doesn't really tell you like why are they coming out. There's no story involved, right? It's just like, oh, those models are old, so they need to be released, and now they're doing it. It doesn't really compel people. People get excited about new models, but this is part of a more in-depth production effort. And I really like the fact that they tell a story. So GW, I think, is pushing the boundary of storytelling in 40k especially, like they've never done before. I can't quite say that it's like an end times type of thing, but it's definitely looking like that. The return of the Primarchs, I think, is about the same as the return of the Lord of Death Nagash himself, as it was, for what happened at the end times there in Warhammer as well. So you can kind of see, like, they used to have an old model for Magnus the Red from Epic in 1995, and this is the old model. Looks dramatically different than the new model, same as the old Nagash and the new Nagash. So this is kind of a good, these videos in general and these releases are obviously just a good indication of change in that universe right before the launch of 8th edition. They're going to be engaged with the Space Wolves. Will their homeworld absolutely be destroyed? Who knows? Space Wolves are popular enough that I think they're going to survive, obviously in some form, but their story and narrative is definitely going to be changed with the upcoming books, because these are I've been involved in the hobby for some time. I've kept myself apprised of 40K. They've never really changed much in the core lore of 40K for the last couple decades. It's largely been fairly consistent. This is new ground where they're producing brand new stories and coming up with and pushing that envelope even further, to the point where 8th edition 40K, the lore of it will probably look much different than previous editions, which is an interesting thing. For a lot of the people involved with the end times and fantasy, that has a mixed reception. I'm sure there's people that absolutely love it as it was, but I'm interested to see what it will be. We'll see. These videos are just an indication, again, that they've been planning this well in advance. I don't mean to pick on the Wood Elves, but again, like they're telling a story. And when the Wood Elves were released in 2014, their promotional video was a picture of like a wood, and you hear clunk, 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 and it's like there's like a couple of lines of text about some monster in the woods, right? And we all know it's like a tree lord or something. But it's like, woohoo! What else are coming out? But there's no there's no real reason why they're coming out. There's no narrative to it. And then a year later they all just get wiped out in the end times. But now they're doing this to push the narrative, both in 40K and Age of Sigmar. They're both now very narratively focused on releases, which is, I don't know how long they can push that boundary. Once everything's been released, once everything's been told, once all the different armies for AOS have been released, are they going to keep pushing that narrative to the same pace? I hope so, but it's difficult to have like the same impact as like releasing whole new armies or rebranding entire armies. I would also just want to say that this is a fantastic, like, again, the amount of planning involved goes back much further and involves other games. So for 30K, Horus Heresy and the Burning of Prospero, right, was just released. And that, if you not super up to date, if you're lore for 30K, it tells a story about how the Space Wolves attacked Prospero and they burned it to the ground and basically wiped out almost that entire legion. Now in 40K, a couple weeks later, they're telling the opposite story. They're continuing that story, and now they've come for revenge on the Space Wolves. And obviously it's the same universe, but drawing together two different games in a cohesive narrative is a really fantastic move by their part. And I really hope that they start applying this same narrative, the same movie and production quality to Age of Sigmar, because I can definitely see it works really well. I can definitely see all the moving parts in Age of Sigmar being applied to one of these videos and explaining what's going on, and even just like a tidbit, right? These videos are great at just we know what's going to come out in the video. This is in some way a way for them to tell us what the new releases are. For this last one, there's all sorts of weird arcane, like when they get released, the old army used to just have bolters. Now they have like crazy weaponry involved, and they're going to wreak havoc on those Space Wolves. It's a different context for that army completely. But for Age of Sigmar, they just finished the Realm Gate Wars, so they've got to come up with like a brand new narrative. But this is one of the reasons why the new armies or the old armies haven't been rebranded in Age of Sigmar. They've got to be part of the narrative. So it's got to be a ways out. So they've got to finish this narrative in 40K, plus continue with it. I can't see this being the only thing that they do for 40K before 8th edition, but who knows. But I do hope that they start making these types of videos for AOS as well. And overall, I'm really looking forward to what the future holds for 30K, 40K, and AOS. And I think, these videos are another sign among many others that GW is on the right track. Watch them. I love them. I really do. I think that they're like the best videos that they've produced, and they're really enjoyable. Anyways, have a good one. Bye.